Wanted to make a video really quick. Forgive the echoing if you hear that in the background. I don't have my microphone on or so. But have you noticed the big Muslim thing that's going on? I mean, it's been going on ever since Obama came on the scene, and we know that the president loves to say Barack Hussein Obama. And anybody with a name is just cause, fear. And they like to use that. And we've got these candidates that are running throughout the nation, and one that's in Congress or so, and or the House of Representatives or so. You get these people that are running. They have different names. And have you noticed how, the hate is pushed towards them, and they come up in fear mongering and all of that. But evangelicals are part of this as well. They are taking part of this because of a name. And the reason why I wanted to just make this video really quick was I have firsthand experience with the name stuff. So those of you that's been following me for many years now, since I started this channel, you know my testimony. And those of you that are new, my father belonged to the nation. There's a gnat flying around. My father belonged to the nation of Islam, and he was a Muslim. He converted to Islam. So, that's Farrakhan, which is still alive, the leader. And during that time, in the 60s or so, during his conversion, you had Martin Luther King prior to his death. You had Malcolm X. You had the Black Panthers, because there was just so much chaos within our country, and people wanted to identify with something. And he decided to identify with the Nation of Islam, and being, this for whatever, I don't know. He passed away. I would have loved to have a conversation with him, but he passed away when I was 5 years old. So I never got to talk to him about that. But guess what? I had a Muslim name. I had a name. My last name, I'll tell you, my last name was Ali, as Muhammad Ali. That was only good out of that name, because being bullied and going through total chaos as a little kid, and being messed with all the time and mocked and all of that, and getting in constant fights trying to defend myself. And then when I had to jack a few people up, then the word means, well, you don't want to mess with Ali. That's a Muhammad Ali. That's what they would say sometimes. But it still didn't stop the name calling, the shame that I had to go through. Even teachers would sit there and make a mockery of me and my brother's name. So you got to think, growing up as a kid in the 70s, you didn't have Somalians, here. You didn't have, a ton of Latinos here. You didn't have a ton of different of the races that you would see here now, nationalities or so, that you see now. That was this rampant. So, there's various names that you can hear that it's no big deal. But back then, it was a big deal. Oh, I hated the first day of school. That was the worst time of my life. And unfortunately, we had to move several times growing up. And that's just a whole nother story there. And go to a new school, or when I got my first summer job at age 13, and you're there with everybody, and then they shout your name out, and they always pronounced it wrong. It's like they did it on purpose. They did it on purpose with my brother one particular time. On purpose. Well, I know it was on purpose. He named him after somebody, said his name after somebody in the Middle East. And it was a terrible thing growing up because of the name. So I was identified with this. Kids would say, do you pray to Buddha? Kids didn't know the difference between Islam and all that. They say, do you pray to Buddha? Or the jokes would be, or do y'all burn candles at night and get around the table and all of the jokes and things. That's the humiliation. And I said, when I was somewhere around 7, 8 years old, I knew it. I said, when I get 18, I'm changing my name. I'm changing it. And I kept that promise, and I changed it at 18. And, I went to family name right back and kept it in the family. And that's all I give there on that. And my brother changed his name as well. We got rid of the names. We got rid of it because of that. So, I was just thinking, like, with the Lord, when I gave my life to him, And I was just thinking about that, how it played out in October of 1992. If I still had that name, that'd be a different testimony or so. I'm still running around. But you know what? One thing I recognized as a child with my name, I recognized, wait a minute, I'm being discriminated against. I noticed that people treated me different. I picked up on it. That's why I was like, I got to get rid of this name. I got to get rid of this. This is not good. What if I put in that job applications and they see my name? They're not going to call me back. They're not going to. And I knew that I was able to recognize that as a young child, something was wrong right there. So that's back then. And now look where we are. Now look where we are when there's no evidence of these people that have these various names, that they're anti-American, that they're trying to turn this nation into Islam, that a lot of these false teachers and stuff promote. There's no evidence of none of that. But that's and this goes to show you where we are of the differences. I went to go visit my son there Sunday to give him his birthday gift because he's just working hard and out there in that particular area where he's at. And I ran into Target because I needed to grab a few things. And I go in there and it was just so multicultural. And I was just like, I see Middle Eastern people, my Somalian people. I see, you see this various multiculturalism. And I just go right in. And I was just thinking like, oh, some of these hateful people, some of these hateful even evangelicals, oh, they couldn't, take part in going in. They would probably have a heart. Oh, they'd be scared. They scared because they've listened to too much propaganda. They have been living in bubbles, and you need to get out sometime. Experience the culture. Experience the food. Oh, and they want to experience the food and all of the culturalism. And there's I've had it, Jennifer Welch. I won't play it here, where she's talking about people, they want to experience, go to the Mexican restaurants, go to the Chinese restaurant, experience all of the multiculturalism. But she says they should just go take their butts on the Cracker Barrel because they shouldn't be able to experience the beautiful culturalism that they try to always bash. Just because somebody has a name doesn't mean that you could sit there and what you done watched on some dark web or propaganda or phony news channel telling you that they're doing this or they are that and that. See, if my name was in place right now, I'd probably be experiencing the same thing. I probably wouldn't, no telling. I don't know how things, I know once I got with God, because God plus one is the majority, life would be moving along. But to have a name in this day and age with the hatefulness that is going on and the mistreatment because of a name based upon no proofs, nothing, it's sad. It's disgraceful. And church folks are taking part of it, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves. Because anybody that's making a mockery of somebody because of the way that they look, the way that their name is, the way that's any of that. I was always told, I had to tell somebody recently here about, they were calling someone ugly. And I said, I was raised, the way I was raised, my auntie used to be like, don't you talk like that about people because something can happen to you and you end up ugly. So I always was like, whoa, as a kid, I was scared, hearing something like that. But that's the truth. Don't you make fun of others because the same types of things that you think you're making fun of them, it could come right back on you, because I believe God's not going to be mocked, and I believe that he's not going to allow people to be mistreated and it go, not noticed. So we'll continue to talk about these issues as we always do, and that the church want to run away from. Tackle Satan and his tactics, punch him right in between the chops. Evangelism for God's the channel. My name is Maurice Braxton. Until the next video, my friends, take care. God bless.